Today is Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. It's a good day to join a cult. Welcome to Wizard Wednesday. Channeling in from the Quantum Downs, this is the Black Goat of the Wood, Elf J Trul, and joining me is...
The orange fuzzy puppet Dotta. Hey, man, we're the only people on stage right now. It's just like the olden days.
Yeah. Bear is not going to join us today, so Jitsi, can somebody come up and fill in for Bear?
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you're just gonna listen to the two of us the whole time.
And you don't want that.
No, you really don't. So your new 3D warriors, they look really good.
How badass is that warrior?
Yeah, I can't believe it. I think it looks really, really incredible. I wouldn't have minded the PS1 versions, but man, the armor on these guys are just so good.
Yeah, it's
So good.
so badass. Jitsi, do you like it?
I do. I think when I first saw it, you saw my comment on it. It gave me like early Warcraft vibes, and I really like it a lot. So it's super cool. Super cool.
I don't think I've even seen the images you just posted in the Secret Tower. Did you render those, or did your team render those?
Those are renders from the team.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's funny is like the notes that I was giving to the team, like I was putting like all caps, like heavy metal, muscular, Giga Chad, make him badass, macho, and I think they got the note.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, your prompt worked.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
But yeah, so yeah, 3D Warriors in production. Obviously, it'll take a while because that collection is enormous. It's bigger than the Wizard collection. But yeah, I think we gave them a timeline of like July. I'm not sure if they can hit that, but that's probably the earliest that they'll be done is this summer, July. So we'll see.
They look great. I really love like the spike shoulder pads. It reminds me of like Koopa shells in Mario.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's always really tricky, like going from the pixelated character to the full 3D character, because they have to bring a lot of their own like just artistic interpretation and talent. You can't just go strictly off the pixel character, and I think they're nailing it.
Amazing. I'm actually in the Runeverse game right now. I don't know who made it into the playtest, but I'm hanging out by the City Stone, by the teleportation center. So if anybody wants to come out and say hey.
How's the playtest going?
It's pretty fun. All I just do here is I just sit here at the city center and I talk to people. I haven't battled any monsters or anything. I just like to kiss all the babies and see who's here and find out if anybody sees any bugs.
Matto, what's
Yeah.
new in this latest demo?
Hey, yeah, we've got a lot of nice new stuff in it, actually. So, I mean, like obviously, I don't want to spoil too much about what it is because we want to make sure that we have some nice surprises for people. But we do have like new spells. We have some new areas in the build. One of them in particular is a city. So it's actually like a new NPC area where you're actually able to go and you're actually able to utilize like plots of land to like build. We don't actually have like the entire like open world set up with all the plots or anything. So it's just kind of like just for testing purposes, it's like just one city where you're able to build plots on. Um, but that area is nice because you're able to actually play around with the mechanics of building a house and customizing it and seeing how that feels and the whole game loop of that because you have to get materials from the open world to actually do that. And then the other new area that we've added is an area that's like a end game area for this build. Like it's obviously not end game because we're gonna have more higher levels later on, but for level it's like 15 plus that's labeled. The cap for this is still 15, but the purpose of it is supposed to be that like after you reach level 15, you can strengthen up your gear and try to get like the best build or whatever. So it's like very much like, if you're able to like, at the last play test, everybody was trying to like get a gear that they can like solo the cannon boss with. Um, but so we wanted to make sure that this was like an extra level above that. So like if you got to that strong, there's more for you to try to like achieve over here. And it was actually the first actual boss of the game. So other bosses of the game were actually called elite monsters. So they're like kind of like a level below boss. And this new area actually has like an actual like first boss of the game that you can try. Along with that, there's a couple of new spells, there's new equipment. The entire battle system got rebalanced a bit, as well as how you get your spells, so that way it's a bit more streamlined and you have more options available to you. So even with the current with the selection of spells that you had before, you should be able to get spells a lot more efficiently now, so that way you don't have as many gaps. And like, 'cause I know one problem we had before, I think, was we had like a lot of people who they didn't get certain spells, or like there are certain spells that they were just having a lot of difficulty like getting from drops. So we wanted to make that a bit easier for people to actually experiment with their builds a bit more. So a lot of great stuff. And then the quality of life updates too. Like we have chat, like a global chat that's persistent. We have party chat as well with it. Just general like gameplay bugs that were fixed. We have some polish, so there's more areas that are like animated, just like little critters that go into like bushes and stuff now, and you know, a lot of artistic updates on the overworld too. So, oh, and even some maps that you've been in before, like the Hedge Wizard, the Hedge Encampment, that is
Mhm.
like it's reworked so that way it can be a bit more like we want it to have like the streamlined for when you join the game and when you go into like all the tutorial areas to be a bit easier. So stuff like that. It's really great. I mean, it's going to be incremental from here, because like right now we have other builds that we have 4 builds planned for this year. This is the first of that, and with each one we're just going to be implementing small updates that should just add more to the experience. So it's like you'll be able to feel the game evolve as you continue testing throughout this year. Very excited, actually. We just opened it probably like an hour ago, really. So people are just getting in and still just kind of like running through it. So you'll probably start seeing some images from on the timeline. If you didn't get in, don't worry. You're going to be able to play very soon. This last test period is really just what we're using to kind of like gauge what we need to work on, so before we actually get it open up to more people. One of the things that we had last time was, obviously we had the server getting overloaded and stuff, and we bumped into a lot of bugs that we didn't perhaps realize were there. And so, like, we got it actually out in the open that were actually kind of critical bugs. And so we want to have like a smoother experience this time when we have this open test. So that's why we're having this smaller. That's like maybe a little bit over 100 people that are in it. There's tons of people that I feel like should have gone into it as well, but we wanted to keep this really limited because we're gonna have it very soon. Like it's right around the corner. Really, I don't want to give an exact date, but really it's right around the corner. So just please be patient if you didn't get in. We're excited for you to get in. Like, we just want to make sure that it's as smooth an experience as the week that you do get in, and we don't have a lot of hiccups like last time.
That's great. My favorite feature I've seen in this is the little bunnies jumping in out of the bushes.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
cool.
it's great.
There's tons of little effects like that. I was just walking around and there's like better fog and lighting effects, and I think that just adds so much to the look and feel.
Yeah, yeah, the ambience is great.
The quality of life stuff is really good too. A lot of it just feels a little more intuitive and just easier to use. So good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of my favorite features, actually, that I forgot even to mention was, do we have a feature now that it's a quest log? So, we know before exactly, like, it was a bit difficult keeping track of all the different quests in the game. We actually have like a log that tells you, what you want, what you like, what the NPCs are requesting, and then also pretty much gives you a heads up that like, hey, you've pretty much completed this quest. Go back to the NPC, you get your prize. So that's always great.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, we got a bunch of questions, but I'm going to start off with my own question right off the top. Dotta, who bought that punk for $16 million?
Ooh, I don't actually know. I don't know who bought the punk. The seller, so the seller was posting. Let me look it up. I actually forget the name of the person, but yeah, I don't know. Do you know who bought it?
Are we talking about the punk that the kid from Tiffany's said that he trolled everybody and said GM with it as his profile picture, and then switched it like an hour later and said, haha, just kidding, but you can buy the pendant for it if you own it.
I think it's Perugia, right? It was it Perugia that sold.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm tempted to ask: is this market top, or does this mean the bull run's just getting started?
Ooh.
I'm leaning towards the latter.
Yeah, I think it's just getting started, right? I mean, Niski brought up a good point that like if the SEC brings a case against the Ethereum Foundation. Like the SEC wants this is an idea that I got from Niski. It's not original, but he's not here. So, the SEC wants Ethereum to be classified as a security because that's like the nuclear option, right? If they can get maybe they can't get Bitcoin, but they can get Ethereum, which is where they see most of the DeFi being built. And so if they can classify Ethereum as a security, everything else becomes a lot easier, right? And so that might be something that could really splash some cold water on the bull market. My best guess is that they probably try it. It creates a lot of FUD, hopefully draws out the bull market, and then they probably lose, right? Like
Yeah,
it seems surprising that they would win that,
yeah.
but it'll be like I think the markets will react to that. I don't think the whole market will be as confident as I am about that. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, they've got a terrible track record in court so far. I don't think they've won a single case, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't even know if they're trying to win cases. I legitimately think they're just trying to slow everything down. I think that's the whole strategy, which is
Mm,
so obnoxious.
mm.
Such a waste of time and money. But yeah, I think you're right. They'll ultimately lose. It'll just slow the whole thing down. But maybe that's good. I don't want this to be the so-called left translated bull market. I want it to last at least a year.
I think BlackRock shows a lot of confidence that it's going to get approved, considering they just deposited 100 million into Ethereum just yesterday in USDC, and they filed in
Right?
like a yeah. So I think they're pretty confident that they'll be able to start like getting yield from that or something soon. So.
It's so weird seeing this like dance between BlackRock and the SEC from the outside. It's so weird.
Yeah, and I think what's cool is that we can actually see it because it's all on chain, right? Like before, like a lot of the stuff was that's the whole purpose of this, right? Before it's like the banking system is very opaque. You don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. We can actually see like these big dogs moving a bunch of money and like in real time behind the scenes, regardless of what the public perception is, right? We can see exactly what's happening. So
Yeah.
Mm,
that's really cool.
yeah,
I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see more transparency in our financial systems like this.
I love
yeah.
it. I'm such a scholar of the game that I can just sit like on a timeline and see everything happening and on chain, and I absolutely love every single moment of it. And we're gonna have so many more moments like this throughout the next year and a half. So I've been enjoying it thoroughly. I think it's just beginning. People are gonna get louder. People are gonna get crazier. People gonna, it's just gonna keep on keeping on. But yeah, screw them all. We win.
So far, the funniest thing was when the SEC Twitter account got hacked and approved the ETF 2 days
Yes,
early.
that was so good, dude. Like what? Like what even is this? It really puts into perspective. Like I could be really good at like bank heists because end of the day, it's just like PvP. It's just like all you have to be is smarter than the other people across the table from you, right? And that like put it into perspective really quickly.
Yeah.
How are you guys feeling about your, I don't mean this derogatorily, but your normie friends in terms of like uh coming back into crypto? Like I'll give you an update on mine, which is like folks are interested. They're like, "Oh, like we see the Bitcoin's coming up," but then when I kind of like explain, well, the action is all these like meme coins on Solana, I'm still getting a lot of like people just saying, I think I'm going to sit out. Like I got burned last time. I'm not like people are kind of getting more interested, but I haven't seen any of my friends that were a lot more active last cycle being as active quite yet. What do you see?
My friends are buying.
Your friends are buying. Yeah. Your friends are poker players though too, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but Jitsi, are these like crypto natives or are these like the so-called normies?
These I would classify them as normies. You know, they put up with me at parties when I start talking about stuff, but like they're my gamer friends, they're my poker friends. They're like one step or two steps away from it all, but they kind of understand it, more than the normal person. They're like in between both, I'd say, but I still classify them as normies just to make fun of them.
And are they buying like blue chips or are they going full degen?
No, mostly ETH right now, right? Like they see the value in ETH. Nothing too degen-y. I mean, I love being entertained by the degen that's happening like on Solana and everything. But at the end of the day, like I think that's just meta that I enjoy playing, and the people that I in my circles too, like probably think the same way. So I don't have too many people buying into Solana right now. But again, like I'm talking about, like 5 or 6 of my friends. It's nothing like too crazy yet. That have come to me and asked me about certain things here and there. I give them some information, and they feel comfortable like buying in, with whatever size they want into some of these coins. But it's not too degen right now from what I've seen.
Can you ask them to buy Wendy's? I need to pump my
Yeah,
Wendy's
seriously, my Wendy's is way down.
bags.
I'll let them know.
What do you use to trade Solana coins on your phone? Like you can kind of do it with Phantom, but I feel like maybe it's still a bit involved for
The
I don't know.
best. If Cheto was here, he'd have the best answer for you. But I never. The one time I traded on my phone, I accidentally floored a 1 of 1 from like Blastopian or whatever it was. I was so pissed.
It's all bots. It's all bots. I don't even think you can be able to trade. Like even just trying to trade on Solana right now, like if you're just using a DEX, you're gonna have failed transactions like 80% of the time, regardless of how high your slippage is. You have to use bots. Like I actually learned this like last week when degenning, and everyone just gave me the answer. They just use bots. Everyone's using bots. So I kind of made the joke that like bots are like the L2 scaling for Solana because it's like Solana is so overloaded that you have to use bots to get through.
Wow, Chetta's
Oh,
going
You're loud.
Cheto, what are you doing?
oh my
Chetta
God.
mute.
Chet is degenning
I'm
hard.
driving right now.
Oh,
He's
man.
degenning hard right now on the car.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw in a trade.
Okay, let's hear it.
I use a bot called Shuriken. I think I have no idea how it's pronounced.
Sherry Ken.
Shuriken. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
But
yep.
they just added an AVAX to it. It's Blast, Base, ETH, Soul, and AVAX. All
Perfect.
Okay, amazing.
Don't
use
sign up without my
Hadouken.
referral code.
Okay, sure. Let's hear it.
I mean, I just have to send you a link.
You don't have it memorized.
Yeah.
So I can. Yeah, no, I don't have it memorized.
All I know is Cheddar always has the hottest degen alpha. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so the way
you don't want to know my current holdings, like coin wise. Name.
I mean, we do want to know.
I mean,
I don't think there's anything closer to say out loud on Wizard Wednesday. I think that's what he's saying.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'll say it.
Perfect. No, it's fine. We'll just get you in the DMs.
He has to say it on the Goblin Town spaces. He can say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So yeah, if you're gonna trade on Solana, don't use Phantom on your phone like me. It's like some kind of boomer. You need to use a Telegram bot.
Yeah, and the way they work is kind of like the PWAs, which is like you load up like a wallet, like they generate a wallet for you, and then you send whatever funds to that wallet, and then from that wallet you'll be able to start degenning. So, definitely just send amount of funds that you're happy with, like playing with. Don't send like your entire net worth to these wallets because it's just like a wallet that lives on a Telegram bot. So don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's really easy to import them too into like Phantom and stuff.
Right. You can export them out, so that way you can have just like the PWAs. You can take control of your own keys from it. So.
Why is Solana having so much trouble right now? Is it like the network is struggling, or is it that like you're getting front run, or what?
It's a little bit of both. Yeah, it's like congestion and there's a lot of front running going on. So there's a lot of MEV extraction. And then just in general, like even if like I had this issue the other day where I was literally just trying to unstake some soul so that way I can have some more money to degen with.
Yeah.
And my unstaking, it just wasn't going through. Like I was just getting failed transactions, and like the front ends weren't even pushing the transactions to the chain. So like it would give me a link saying like, oh, here's like your soul scan link, like pending transaction, and like the soul scan link just doesn't update. Like it just like doesn't even push it on chain. And so I actually I made a thread the other day about it, and like somebody who's Mert, who is very well respected dev in the Solana community, he kind of came in and just said like, yeah, these are all known issues that we're just kind of working on. And I'm actually glad. Like, I'm not like I don't want Solana to fail. Like, I like the idea of like multi-chain being like what we actually do. Like, I don't see the end game for crypto being like everyone just being on one chain doing everything on one chain, right? I see it like I see like all these different like ecosystems that are interacting with each other, intertwining with each other. And so like for me, I feel like seeing like Solana like struggle like this, I feel like it shouldn't be. And so like, and I felt like every time I would bring up the issues, like a lot of people kind of like take it as like FUD and they'll dismiss it like, oh, whatever, you're just a hater, like that. It's like, no, like I legitimately am like a power user that's having trouble using this. And like, I just want to use the chain right. And like, I'm trying to tell you, like, we have to like improve here. So I was really glad to have that from a respective dev come and say like, yeah, like we see your worries and like it's being worked on. It's just like, growing pains. So I was like, cool, that's fine. As long as I have somebody telling me that I'm not gaslighting me, telling me that my transactions are going through because I'm an experienced user, it's like
Right.
I hate Solana. I'll say it.
What?
I'm joking. I think it's fun. I think honestly, the audience that seems to be attracted to Solana is like very easy to trade against. So I'm all for it. Like, come on in, y'all. Like, new players, please join the arena. Like,
yeah. But I think that being said, I think like it's still usable. It's not like it's like the chain. It's way better than like before, where like the chain would literally just go down, right? So that's like a huge update. So
Here's my question. It like meme coins are obviously the hot meta right now, and Sol is the best place for them apparently. Where is the next NFT meta gonna pop up? Is it gonna be ETH, Sol, Base, fucking Cardano, Ordinals? Like, where's it gonna be?
Cardano. Yes to that.
Yeah.
I think right now Ordinals is a good bet. I think in terms of like if you want to do NFT plays, Ordinals is definitely heating up. I think a lot of people. I do think that attention does come back to ETH NFTs. But I think like that comes back with. I think a large part of that is that we have so much liquidity that's locked up in Blast and an Eigen layer. That's like people don't want to really like aside from that and the fees, like people don't really want to trade much on ETH, especially because a lot of people just have a lot of stuff already locked up. And like these protocols that, and I made a joke about the other day. It's like, are they just going to hold our money for like the entire bull market? Because it feels like like Blast and Aiden are kind of both holding off, and when they're going to have money withdrawals come out. So
Has Blast given people a date for when you can get your money out?
I think it's next month. I don't have the exact date on the top of my head. I think you can actually withdraw from Aiden, but I think like people are still like they want to hold it in there obviously so they get as much of the airdrop as possible. So
Oh, got it. Yeah.
yeah, right. So whenever that airdrop happens, but people are expecting like it's going to be big because like there's a lot of protocols that are being built on top of it, and all those protocols are probably going to be giving rewards to people who are staking. So it's like Tia. Remember when Tia did that? Like everybody was like, if you were staking Tia, you had like a whole bunch of airdrops from like random protocols. So it's kind of happened like that.
Right.
Cheddar, you should probably mute.
Yeah, Cheddar, can you mute?
Oh, sorry. I was going to come up and, well, I was going to unmute myself and say Doginals, if you know
Oh
what
my
There you
god!
go.
Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
god! The ultimate DGen play right now.
Yeah. A few months ago, I
I,
got into
I'm not buying any.
Bell's chain.
Yeah, bells. Yeah.
I have some funds over there, and I think it's up, but like I haven't really tracked it. It
Yeah, it's
seemed
too technical right now.
it seemed like something people were trying to make happen that it feels a little forced. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a cool
yeah,
idea.
it was like it's kind of it reminds me of like remember when there was like the version 1 punks that people try to come out and they're like, oh, these are the original punks guys, and then like like they kind of tried to gain traction on that, but it seems like it kind of died down. It's like that. It was like the creator of Dogecoin, the first like his first iteration of it was like bells. And then like that was like that so like they were trying to be like, oh, like look, this is like the original Dogecoin pretty much. And so like that was like the narrative they tried to push, and it felt like that kind of like went on the wayside. It could still come up, who knows, right? Like there's
Yeah.
tons of these and opportunities everywhere, but I think that it definitely did feel like it was kind of forced from people who were just trying to like they're like, oh, cool, we found that we can mine like freaking a billion of these like under the radar,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hopefully we get rich if we can pump it, if we can get people to jump in on the narrative, and it doesn't seem like it caught on. So
I keep hearing that everyone thinks base is going to be really the next thing, the next place that, and the promise is kind of like they're being super mindful towards an eye towards decentralization. They have good teammates on making it like as fast as possible, as efficient as possible. It will have the Coinbase integration, right? The Coinbase is going to work to make it super smooth to integrate with. Um, I think that like it's hard. I'm not really seeing meme coins on base as hard as you see them on Solana. And I think that with something like Blast, where you just have this like unabashedly like financial ecosystem, I almost wonder if like Blast is going to kind of offer a lot more casinos than base ever might. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on if we really are going to see base be the next meme coin center.
No, it's already like you can already see the timeline talking about it today, and it's pretty accurate that like the memes over on base aren't as funny as anywhere else. There are a few, and the reality of the situation is like meme coins have already been on there, and so all the good ones have already run
Right. It's
significantly
like
during
liberal
this entire
memes.
process. Right, it's right. So like, well, and also base was never like no one's asking for people to go make like meme coin trade on base anyway. Like that's not their focus. It's just happening naturally, right? So it's not, I don't think it's going to be a huge meme coin season over there. People are trading today, and there's like stuff that's already been up like 10x within like the last 10 hours. So it'll probably fall a little bit flat because stuff isn't funny. But it's like so silly to me that people are complaining about it. You're complaining about being early to a chain. Like, what? So it just means there's more opportunity there, right? So I think it'll probably be elongated over the course of the entire bull. But like base will have its moment. It's already having its moment right now, but it'll continue to have its moment over the course of, I don't know, who knows? But I don't think it's
One of
going
the
away.
one of the things that I think that you see is almost like chain snobbery. So if you remember here on a few weeks ago on Wizard Wednesday, I was talking about like, oh, go look at Farcaster because I think that like this month there's going to be some super degen project on there that will like make people a lot of money, and that didn't happen. That actually didn't happen pretty soon after we had that Wizard Wednesday talking about it. There was actually like this huge backlash on the Farcaster community that like wanted to keep it too hipster. And they were like, let's not
Huh.
over financialize Farcaster. Like we want to do stuff on chain, but we don't want to and there's all these polls like, are you here to like make friends, push the technology, or make money, right? And like make money was the very last one. And I just definitely noticed like a culture of Farcaster where they were trying to kind of like not attract degens. And I like, well, on the one hand, I feel like totally fine with that. I feel like maybe Forgotten Runes is like that as well. But you could see that maybe pulling into base where there's a lot of like legit protocols, but
Right.
maybe not as much of like just this like constant meme coin casino moving to base. I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure I see it this month.
That
Yeah,
tracks.
I think just toning on just what Zizzy says, like a lot of the memes there just aren't funny. I even said in the alpha channel, I was like, I looked on deck screen, I was like, none of them seem like they're all like very forced or really like corny. It's like it's really like it feels like people want it to happen. I feel like that's a huge part of like because the recent Ethereum upgrade made it so that like fees on base are like pretty much as cheap as Solana right now. Um, and so like base was like one of the first chains to actually like integrate with that upgrade. So like they were the first ones that like people were tweeting like, holy crap, it's really cheap to be on base right now. And so I think people took that as an opportunity to be like, if it's really cheap to be on base right now, why don't we shitcoin on base as much as we shitcoin on Solana, right? Especially with Solana having these congestion issues recently. And so I think people are seeing it as like an opportunity to like, let's get in on base, let's get on early before the degens already like super pump it up. But I don't really see it there. I just don't see the culture in terms of like people aren't really making like funny stuff there. It's like there's some stuff that like maybe gets smiled, but like it doesn't feel like it's as creative really. I mean, even like on Solana, like there's a lot of stuff that's like really trashy, whatever. But there's just so much stuff that's made that like just from the sheer number of stuff that's made, there is stuff that like pops up like, okay, that's pretty funny. Like that's a pretty funny movie. Like when everyone's doing like the political coins, like a lot of them were corny, but there were some that are actually pretty funny that popped up from it. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think right now everyone like all the memes are just pretty much iteration of like the name base, which is like okay, cool, like baseballs and stuff. Like, all right, that's haha. But yeah, I think Coinbase is. I think it has a nice future because Coinbase does really want to build off of it. I think one cool thing is I don't know if anybody saw, but like just the other day, they have like this beta wallet that Coinbase is that hasn't worked. They put up the GitHub for it, and it's a smart wallet. It's like it's wallet abstraction. So instead of giving you like a seed phrase or whatever, it's literally just like you use your phone as like a 2FA, like as if you're the new feature, like you can log into Google now with a phone, where it's like it'll bring a pop up on your phone. It's like, are you trying to log in? You hit yes, and like it connects to Bluetooth to your device, whatever. It's like that with wallets. So like you create the wallet, and then you attach to your phone as like your hardware key, and then when you interact with your wallet, you're using your phone rather than a seed phrase or anything. I'm sure that there's like ways to like export or whatever, but like stuff like that I think is cool. Stuff like that I think is like good for adoption, because I don't see like my grandmother using seed phrase. Like I don't trust the average person to actually be able to utilize the software as it is like right now. I think stuff like this, even if we understand from like some level that like it's probably like better like to actually like secure your keys yourself, right? Rather than like having to trust like this phone, whatever, or like trust like hardware key that if it goes down, whatever. But I think for the vast majority of people, this is like the best way to get in. Like it's pretty much just like you don't have to memorize anything. You don't have to memorize a password. You're using your phone to log in, and everyone has a phone on them. So I think the fact that they're developing stuff like that shows that they're really trying to think of how to make it easy for people to get on chain. And that's the future of what Coinbase sees. They see like, we want to get people to buy stuff on Coinbase, bring it to our chain, and then actually interact with crypto instead of just like, I've always had this thought that like a lot of people, like especially normies, they still think of crypto as like stocks, just like except degen stocks, right? Like they're not actually using the chain. That's why people buy like Ethereum Classic. Like, why the hell are you buying Ethereum Classic? Like, there's no way to use crypto and you buy Ethereum Classic, right? But like in order to get them onto the chain, you have to make it as easy as possible. I think Coinbase is really trying to push that to make it as easy as possible for people to transition to it. So.
Matt, are you far away from your mic? Because I can barely hear what you're saying. Maybe it's just me, but it's like booming.
Oh, can everybody else hear me pretty well? Sorry.
I can hear you okay. It sounds like you're in like an echoey room, but I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Oh, I will get a bit closer to my mic. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
All good. I got a bunch of cult questions I want to go over.
Let's do it.
Let's jump into that. Okay. Ghost Effects is asking, what can we do to pump some extra life into the channel and the cult? Wake up, everyone. Ghost Effects, all I can say is just wait about a month. I don't know. What do you have an answer for that, Dotta?
I've been talking to my lawyers a lot lately, and they tell me not to talk about it on Wizard Wednesday, so let's just keep moving on.
There you go. Let's keep moving on. All right. We got a bunch of fun lore questions, my favorite type of questions. Justin is asking, actually, this one's kind of for you as well, Dotta. Does lore need to be inscribed on chain to be considered for the creative pool of Forgotten Runes media expressions, or just published in the gasless method? Well, okay, so I would say like no. I don't think it matters on chain or not, gasless or not, to be like fed into the Loracle and to be contributed to the overall world build, but like technically, Dotta, does it even matter if it's gasless or what? Like,
I think so. I think it matters, like that insofar as like when you put the lore into the gasless version, that's actually just going into a database that is, controlled by Magic Machine, and so we're all here and present, and benevolent dictators in that regard, and so it's fine. But like, I do feel that there's something special about like taking responsibility for the protocol, which means either like kind of hosting a mirror of the lore backups, or writing it on chain, because now it becomes part of the protocol around what's on Ethereum, what's on IPFS, and you can kind of participate in the responsibility of like keeping it going for generations. So I think that like there's no difference in terms of when we use the Book of Lore and the Loracle, or like you said, when we look at it for reading, writing, all that stuff. There's no difference there, but I do feel like there's a bigger difference in just kind of like the purpose of what we're trying to do here, that the on-chain lore is better. I also think, it's not lost on me that it costs more, for example. So I think that like the next time that we sort of do, let's call it, an airdrop or whatever, I do think that like on-chain lore should get a little boost versus off-chain lore. right? If I were to think about it, I would think of it something as like, like how much more is on-chain lore in terms of some sort of points than off-chain? Like maybe 30% more, maybe something like that. That sounds about right. I haven't written down the calculations exactly, but it seems to me that on-chain lore should be worth just, like any lore at all should be worth quite a lot more than almost everything else, except for maybe just holding. Um, and then especially if it's good, and especially if it's like on chain, it should be even more than off chain. So something like that. So I'll give you a little bit of a heads up when I feel like it's time to move your lore on chain.
Could a cult member just like write a bunch of lore off chain for a few months and then finally decide, okay, now I want to push it to the chain? Would that like be a good strategy?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's set up just fine.
cool.
Can we actually do it in batch? Like, because I have a couple that I've done off chain, and can we just like batch do it, or we have to individually do it one by one?
Ooh, I don't know. We'll have to ask Niski.
All right. Okay. Justin also has a fun lore question. What do the inhabitants of the Runeverse refer to as the name of the continent, or do they just call it the Runeverse? So yeah. So if you don't know, the Runeverse, like the map, is just more or less one giant supercontinent. Because all of the continents recollided after the singularity. Um, and it's funny because I've actually been writing a lot about this in the Giant Lore website that we're going to publish. Um, and in my writing, I have been calling it the runic supercontinent. One reason I wanted to make it a supercontinent is because it's a rune. The way I've been talking about what a rune is, like why forgotten runes, why put your rune on the door, why is a wizard a rune, is conceptually a rune is like a simplified pictogram that can be extrapolated into larger meaning, and I wanted the world to be that as well. So that's why I made it into one giant supercontinent that I've just been calling the runic supercontinent. If a better name pops up from somebody, maybe it'll take hold. Um, but yeah. Okay, so then Give a Hoot also has a few lore questions. These are really good. And amazingly, these are topics that I've been writing about as well. So the first question is, what is the object or entity that casts the quantum shadow? Like, is there a light source that illuminates it so that it can cast a shadow in the first place? And okay, so to answer that first part, it's not like literally a shadow. Um, the term shadow is more or less a misnomer. Um, you will soon read in this like master lore website that there are actually other terms for the quantum shadow, such as twilight vapor or void sludge or dark mirror, because after all, the quantum shadow does vary in its forms from like slime to goo to vapor. Um, and I think the reason that the term shadow is so pervasive is because it's what is a shadow? It's just an absence of something. It's like a nothing. It's the absence of light. It's not really a thing. Um, and so, to me, what is the most interesting thing about the quantum shadow is its use as a device. And by that I mean a literary device, a political device, and even a scientific device. It's like a Rorschach. The people of the universe don't know what it is, but they put all of their fears and their suspicions into it. Politically, it's a scapegoat device. It's used as a tool for manipulation by powerful people. And then scientifically, there is an example of this in our current understanding of cosmology. Dark matter and dark energy is literally a placeholder. It's like a mathematical placeholder for the unknown. So it's kind of all these things. Tolkien would often talk about how he deliberately didn't want to explain everything in detail in Middle Earth. He would deliberately leave things kind of vague. And so I wanted to have a very dominant object in the Runiverse that sort of embodied that idea. And the quantum shadow is just sort of a perfect device for a magical world. It's this thing that I'd love to see everyone in the cult have a different take on. I think just for example, I think that wizards could use the quantum shadow for spells or as an as an ingredient in alchemy. I think they could fight it. I think they could befriend it. I think they could even smoke it if they wanted to. Um, they could manipulate it to make horrible monsters out of it, which is what the shadows are. And in fact, the elusive shadow hats live inside of it. So the quantum shadow is kind of just a catch-all for it's like fear embodied, or mystery embodied. But yeah, you'll be able to read a lot more about it in this upcoming lore website.
So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about. I want to talk a little bit about some of the questions that folks are having in the chat about the on-chainness of the Book of Lore.
Sure.
Okay, so a couple of things. One of the objections to this idea of Book of Lore is that maybe some say the misnomer of calling the lore on chain. When you kind of if we want to be technical about it, yes, we can say, well, the bulk of the lore, the images, the markup is actually on IPFS, and some say, well, IPFS is not on chain, and fair enough. I think like you can kind of decide what you think that it means to be on chain, and the images and the stories are stored on IPFS, right? And it's a pointer to that IPFS that is stored on chain. So there's some concerns that it's that there's some sort of deception going on here. No, when you look at the documentation from what we've had, from the blog post on writing in the Book of Lore from day one, it talks about this, right? It says, is my lore stored on chain? And it's like, well, the text and the images are not stored on chain right now. The idea that what we're looking for with the Book of Lore is to build a decentralized protocol, right? And what this means is that the Book of Lore is not exactly controlled by Magic Machine. It's this idea that it's controlled by the smart contract. It's controlled by ownership of the token NFTs. And so anyone can write a user interface to the Book of Lore. Anyone can write to the Book of Lore. That we can't stop that. As long as you own a wizard, you're able to like contribute to the Book of Lore as a protocol. And yes, fine, it's not feasible. Like everyone is on the one hand already complaining about the cost of gas to upload just a pointer to the IPFS. It would just be completely prohibitive to have people upload their entire lore and images on chain. That said, maybe it wouldn't be all the time, right? Like the way that we have right now is this trade-off for the protocol. Here's some things we could add to the protocol. One, we've talked about the idea of the Book of Lordinals, right? Maybe you can upload your entire lore fully on chain within an ordinal onto Bitcoin. Maybe we can use some of the new gas optimizations that have come to ETH to give people an option to say, I really want to store this completely on the ETH blockchain, and I'm willing to pay, as much ETH as it costs. Like we can and probably should do that, right? So then you can sort of have these options between like database free, IPFS cheap, on-chain ETH or ordinals. Like for if you're an advanced user and you're like, no, I really, really care about this being 100% on-chain forever, I think we should give people that option. But I'm not sure. Like I think when I say, oh, on-chain lore, really what we're talking about here is a shorthand because, like every time I talk about it, I'm not going to be like, well, the on-chain lore that's really a pointer to IPFS. It's like the core point is this idea that anyone can back up anything of IPFS that they want to, right? Yes, fine, it's not on the Ethereum chain, but it's part of the IPFS protocol, which is totally like decentralized. It's censorship resistant. It's able to be like written to by anyone. And so that's the part that's decentralized about on-chain lore versus the off-chain lore, which is just like in our database, I don't even know, you might not know if you're even able to get the raw content there, right? Have you checked? If we took it off, most people wouldn't even notice. And so at least when you put it in IPFS, there's like this. There's a level of decentralization there that's better than storing it in our database. So hopefully that's helpful.
Sounds good.
I think
Go ahead.
I think also this point, I think he also mentioned like Arweave being an option. I looked into it. I think Arweave it's I couldn't really get too much of like an actual quote. I think it would be probably more expensive than IPFS, but it feels like it should be. But from like the quotes I was looking at, it seems like it was misquoted where it seemed like it was like cheaper than IPFS. But that doesn't sound right to me because Arweave is definitely more of like a centralized protocol than IPFS in terms of like its storage. So I don't know like how it actually works, but that's something that he brings up a lot. And I think bringing it to your other point too, I thought that what people would do for Ethereum NFTs was instead of using IPFS, use ordinals because that was way back when ordinals first came out. I thought that was a cool idea. The idea of like storing it on chain on Bitcoin, and instead of having your NFT pointing to like a centralized server, you just have it pointing to here's the Bitcoin, here's the image on Bitcoin for it, so it's on chain storage. But I haven't really seen people do that. I feel like that's a cool idea that's not iterated on.
Do people consider Arweave on chain?
I think they do. I mean, I think it's its own chain. I think. I'll look more into it, but I'm pretty sure like Arweave is like its own. I think it's its own chain that's just like specialized in storage, and so like it's not on chain on Ethereum, but it's another chain. So
Yeah, good. Okay, I'm ready to move on.
All right, let me find. There's one more question. Okay, yeah, Give a Hoot's asking one more lore question. Are the inhabitants of the Runeverse aware that they are living a digital existence? Do they know that they are, or at least began as NFTs on the blockchain? Okay, this is such a fun question. Also, something I wrote about this weekend. So they are unaware of it to the extent that we ourselves are unaware that we live in a digital simulation. And what's more is that when the singularity occurred, um, they actually just picked up their lives the very next second, having totally forgotten the prior moments. In fact, they're not even aware of the change. And I'll go a little more into this on the website, but really, this is kind of just like the whole point of Forgotten Runes. This is the job of us, the cult, to reconstruct the lost, forgotten runes. This is what it means to world build, to write our characters' life stories, to put our mark on the world. The Runeverse is forgotten until we make it real. But yeah, Give a Hoot. Really great questions today. I'm really excited about publishing this website. Crucifor actually gave me a big list of artists, and I reached out to one of them to potentially do some illustrations for this site. He hasn't said yes yet, so I'm not going to say who it is. But yeah, it's coming along. It still might be a week or two off. But I don't know. Maybe I'll publish just like the first version without illustrations. But it'll be added to over time. So anyway, I guess that's it for the cult questions. Acid, do you want to give a DAO update or anything?
Yeah, I can go over the minutes.
All right.
Cool. The first thing was some Notion updates. We updated our Notion page to have the special council charter. So that's our bylaws basically. So if anyone wants to read up on how the special council is supposed to run and function, you can check that out on the Notion page. You can also check out the new special council proposal page under proposal history. So these are the internal votes that we can do to make some decisions without having to wait through the entire proposal process that the rest of the community goes through. So we did vote. We had our one vote on lowering the quorum requirement. So this was, it had been 6,000 votes required to pass a proposal costing over $25,000 or like fundamental changes to the organization. So we voted, 7 voted yes and 2 abstained. So we're going to, so the quorum requirement has been lowered to 3,500 votes instead of the 6,000. And we'll keep doing that voting in our voting channel in our Discord. We're not going to make a new snapshot. We think it's like, they can be big decisions, but we don't think that it's like a significant enough issue or situation or anything that's going to require like, oh, we need this on-chain verification of who voted for what and this and that. So we're going to keep it in there and then make our decisions public on the Notion page. Next thing was March proposals. So there are 5 proposals up for vote at the end of this month right now. They are the Legacy of the Secret Tower board game. That's Brennan's again. We're just putting it through again to get it passed through this new threshold. The other one was The Dream of the Endless, an animated short. That one is by Urshan, and that's for a short animation. Conscious NFT for Forgotten Runes. So that's an AI-driven program that's connected to the Loracle that you can go in and play with. And me and Bill and a few other team members, Not Mock, Wild Mage, some other people, are trying to put together an AI-driven Oregon Trail kind of game that works with this Conscious NFT program. And so that is a little point-and-click adventure kind of thing that we're putting together. And then lastly, the council has put forward a proposal to hire Reptar again as our scribe, because he has been a significant help, and we would love to have him continue on the team. Tomorrow we're going to hold a Spaces at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to have all of the authors come on and talk about their proposals. So tune into that if you have been out of the loop for March. This is I think it's the final Spaces before voting starts. Yeah, voting starts on the 24th, so it runs the 24th through the 31st. So tune in tomorrow and read through the DAO chats if you are going to vote and get caught up on everything going on in there. And we're going to find a way to get proposal drafts, not as files, but as Google Docs or OneDrive. So we want a consistent way that people submit their proposals within the Discord itself, so that it's not like everyone's clicking on links or they have to download something. We don't want there to be any sort of any way for anything to go wrong or hacked or scammed or whatever could possibly happen. Links are not our favorite thing. So we're going to try to figure out a way to make things a little easier. The next thing was legal. The proposal agreements are still under review with legal, but I believe we got an update from Reptar this morning about how they are hoping to have things done at the end of this week. We are hoping that or thinking it may take through the end of the month, but just at the rate that our legal team works. But we are hoping that things can be signed and we can start getting Magic Machine their reimbursement the end of the month. And then after that, we can start reimbursing everyone else and getting all of our other payments through. So hopefully March is the end of all of this backed up ridiculousness and we can start moving forward. And the last thing we talked about was the Treasury. So we just looking at the current market conditions, and today is not the best day to really give an example about it, but the balance of the wallet is way up from where it was back in the bear market. And so we've had some conversation. We've had a few people bring up the idea of moving some money more into stable coins just to save something for rainy days if we need it. So we are going to look at our policies in our charter. I don't know if we need to talk to the legal team, but just see if we need some kind of community-wide vote or if the council has to vote or if we can just move money. I'm not certain on what the details of it are. So we're going to look into it and see about that. And that was the last thing.
Great. Yeah, I think, especially is the proposal for Reptar continuing as scribe something that the special council votes or something that the community votes for?
We're putting it to a community vote. Maybe for the amount of money he's requesting, or we are requesting, I guess, it might need to be put to a community vote. I'm not sure.
Well, Reptar is doing an incredible job. He's amazingly organized. He's been kind of stacking up his DAO duties on top of his day job duties, and I think that I just can't recommend him highly enough. He's been just doing such a good job. So really, the DAO would be a little bit lost if he's not able to continue. So I also don't think there's anyone else really competing for that position. So I don't mind saying he has my full kind of endorsement when it comes time to vote for that.
Yeah, he does a lot of work.
Yeah.
Very organized, very helpful.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it from me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Where's Tad? Is Tad not here this week?
I don't know.
All right, no big deal. How about we look at the Cult Content Chronicle compiled by
The illustrious
Tanya Del Rio, week 61. It's not quite the same without Bear here.
Yeah. No. Sorry.
All right. Meeple Dad starting us off with a really fun comic. Oh, there's Tad. Hold on. Before we jump into the Chronicle, I just want to see if Tad has anything for us. Tad, you there?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it takes me a minute to connect in. Yeah, there just wasn't much to report, so I sat and let you guys handle it. Not a whole lot from the community side. Just everybody's excited that got into this Runeverse build, and I know everybody's looking forward to getting in as a big group later.
Great. All right, sounds good. Thanks, Tad. Okay, yeah. So Meeple Dad made a really fun comic. I read through the whole thing, and it looks like this is just the very beginning of a fun story. And then it's also connected to a really big, fun Wikipedia entry about the great library in the Blue Wizard Bastion. So a lot of world building happening here. I love it, Meeple. Justin at Other Guide Pro has made a trailer of the Runeverse, or he's commenting on the Runeverse trailer. So I mean, yeah, that's awesome. I love Justin's videos. Definitely check that out. And then, of course, Justin also shared a book of lore entry with some really great art. Artsy shared a really fun cameo of myself on Base Paint XYZ.
That's
I
fun.
think, yeah, you know what's my favorite detail though, besides my goat wizard is the little goat right under it. It's my favorite goat meme. Do you guys know that meme, like the smug goat, I think he's called?
Yeah.
He's adorable. He's the cutest goat on the internet, and I'm so glad he's right below me in this piece. Wizard Small shared some recent Smoles mints. It looks like a lot of the legendary souls have been minted, or maybe it's just one. Geez, I'm blanking on this soul's name. I'm gonna come back to it. Okay, Night Owl Birdman. Basically mixing Nickelback with Cucumber Dogs. It's the meme we never asked for, but we got. Well done, Birdman. And then Hin Boyd posting a truly legendary meme from like 10 or 20 years ago, the Leprechaun sketch, which is perfect for St. Patty's Day.
I forgot that it was St. Patrick's Day this weekend. Like,
Same.
I didn't wear green or anything. I just 100%, it was not on my radar.
Well,
I
did you get pinched?
No.
get pinched. I was at a bar and didn't even know, and then I realized, and then I was at a bar, so it was a win.
Did you get pinched, Jitsi, for not wearing green?
Funny enough, I was in a green thermal without even realizing it.
You didn't get pinched. All right. Cool. Okay, Waz shared a fun meme of one of my favorite paintings ever, the Caspar David Friedrich painting, but expertly worked the Secret Tower into it. Well done. Bridge did a really fun skateboarding meme. Bros don't let bros fud bros. So true. J Mender shared some really fun AI art. It looks like you're AIing Bit
Billy's
Bargain's
gonna get
wizards.
you. Yeah, Billy's gonna get you. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Meeple Dad with more riddles in the dark. Finally, the bucket of worms got riddled. One of the best treats in all of the Athenaeum, the bucket of worms. And then the Ordinals Light Project, Bully NFT. I guess they have increased their lights collection to an additional 4 more.
There's good stuff in planned for the lights. Good stuff planned for the lights, but I think it's always hard when you have a mint that has a slow mint out. But I think that they look really cool, and Cause has done a good job.
Yeah. Okay, and then Magic Monday News, episode 49. Special guest was Leaf Dojang. I always feel like I'm pronouncing his name wrong. And treat of the week was Jar of Sap.
I'm going on Magic Monday News. I'm gonna be on Magic Monday News on April 15th. The 1 year anniversary episode.
It's funny because I was just getting ready to ask, when do I get to be a special guest?
You can come. You can come on when I'm on, and we can be
No,
special guests,
I wouldn't dare,
co-special
Dotta.
guests.
I
Okay.
wouldn't dare. This is your episode.
You can come the week before the 1 year end. I'm sure they'd have you anytime you want.
Okay.
Sure.
Probably one reason that they're not inviting me is because I've explicitly said this is way too early in the morning for me several times.
Oh, yeah, it's very early.
Or maybe they just don't like me. That's also a possibility.
Yeah, it's the first one. It's the first
one. Okay, Enchanter Orbis sharing a really fun rendition of the Runeverse's favorite DJ, Augur Gwyn. Man, Gwyn is just a legendary wizard,
Let's
truly.
get up and dance.
Yeah. And I guess that's it. Yeah, well done. Okay, there it is. The Cult Content Chronicle. Right on time. Anything else?
I think I'm good. Yeah, we're just on the cusp of just a handful of things. So just hold on to your hats, and it's going to be a fun summer.
We really are on the cusp. I feel like it's just one day y'all are going to wake up and there's a deluge of stuff from our team. So sit tight.
Yeah, the best thing coming up is, within a month or something like that, we'll all get to play the Runeverse game together, and so that'll be a nice time.
Yep. Jitsi, final comments.
Sorry, I'm like here, but not. I love you all.
There you go. That's the perfect kobold comment. All right, this has been Elf, Dotta, Jitsi, Tad, Major, Acid, Matatsuki, and all of the wizards of the Forgotten Runes Wizards Cult. Channeling out. GN, everybody.
Bye.